If you think you can protect someone you love from a truth that is already circling them, you've never watched it arrive anyway, in your own living room on a Sunday afternoon. I had kept the letter from my mother for 11 weeks. 11 weeks of carrying something that was also hers to carry, until Sandra called and said the words I had been dreading since part 2 began. She said, "Eleanor, she needs to know, and it has to come from you." My name is Eleanor. My mother gave 20 years of her life to a man who was living 2 of them. She buried him not knowing. She grieved him not knowing. She smiled again, not knowing. I had decided that was mercy. Sandra helped me see it was something else. The longer I waited, the more the truth became a debt. Every time I sat across from my mother at that kitchen table, the same table where she collapsed, I was choosing her comfort over her dignity. She had a right to know what she had actually lived, not the version I had curated for her, not the edited life of a man I was still trying to protect 11 weeks after reading his own confession. That is what prolonged silence cost the person being protected, not just the truth, the chance to grieve what was actually real. I called Sandra back and said one word. Okay. We agreed to do it together, not because it was easier with 2 of us, because my mother deserved to hear it from both sides of the story at once. No gaps, no version she'd have to fill in later with her imagination. I rehearsed it for 3 days. Every word, every order, every pause. I told myself, if I controlled how it landed, I could control how badly it broke her. I had it scripted like a production. A perfect, careful, considered delivery of an impossible truth. I even chose a Sunday because Sundays felt gentler. None of it mattered. We sat down in her living room, Sandra and I on one side, Mom in her chair. I opened my mouth and said his name. That was all, just his name. And my mother looked at Sandra, a woman she had never met, sitting in her living room, and she already knew. Not the details, not the letter, but the shape of it. The shape of a thing you have half known for years, but chosen not to look at directly. She said, "How long?" Not a question, a measurement. I told her everything. She didn't collapse this time. She sat very still and let it land. Every word, the second family, the letter, the 4-year plan, the fear he never outgrew. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she looked at Sandra, not with hatred, with something I didn't have a word for yet, a recognition between 2 women who had loved the same broken man and survived him. She reached across and put her hand over Sandra's. She said, "He should have been braver." That was all. That was enough. We stayed for 3 hours. We ate. We talked about him. Not the secret, just him. The man before the lie became the architecture of his entire life. Mom walked Sandra to the door when she left. She held Lily's face in both hands and looked at her for a long time without speaking. Then she came back inside, sat down and said to me, "She has his eyes." Not angry, not broken, just true. Because the thing my father feared most, that loving 2 families would destroy them both, turned out to be the one fear only honesty could have prevented. If this series has been living in you, drop part 4 in the comments and tell me what you think happens next, because there is one conversation left that nobody has had yet. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The final part is coming.